Hello, everybody, and welcome to tonight's broadcast of the XLNC Mid League. New season, new year, new format. So, we have got two back to back series for you guys tonight. First is going to be between Omega Gaming Unleashed and the AOE God Squad. My name is Gordo, and I am joined tonight by Rudude. Rudude, how are you doing tonight?
Oh, I am so ready for tonight, Gordo. It has been so long since we've been on this channel, and honestly, I cannot wait to get these games back underway. Omega Gaming Unleashed in two best of twos tonight, of course. We do have a second one up against Meme City Rush after the initial two games going on, but Gordo, we're already into draft here. We spend no time, we waste no moments, and we've already got some spicy bands going.
Yeah, absolutely. Haven't gotten to cast a game on this channel since last year, so we are ready to get right into it. And we are going to start off with an Olaf pick on the blue side, following plenty of other jungle bans from both teams.
Yeah, and with the is that four potentially five-way ban on the jungle if you're counting Gragas as well. There's no surprise here that Olaf gets first picked. With Gordrinker, even through the nerfs, is still an incredibly strong and potent jungler, and has always got that early game priority. But even more so with the new items, still scales a lot better than he used to.
Yeah, he has been abusing that gore drinker all over the place and is going to be pretty potent over in the hands of Fallen Artemis, a newcomer to Omega Gaming Unleashed, but a long-standing member of the Omega family, going to be busting out the Olaf for his first game on the new team in this league.
Yeah, of course, Fallen being one of the team that went into the LHD finals just last season on Omega Gaming Syndicate and looking to replicate his successes here with Unleashed. Looking like they're going to be locking in some more early game priority with that Galio looking to maybe find some roams bot lane, top lane, or just to support this Olaf. On the other side, though, we do have to talk about AoE and all of the sort of setup that they've got. Akali getting let through the draft is very dangerous indeed, an incredibly strong assassin in her own right, and have to keep our eyes on that to make sure that that doesn't get too strong.
Yeah, gonna have to keep an eye on where that Galio is gonna be going as well. That has evolved into a bit more of a flex pick this season,
Mm.
being taken both support and mid lane. So could definitely be showing up in either of those lanes. Gotta believe it couldn't be top, especially with that gangplank already locked in. But red team not really too interested either way. They're gonna be taking the Aphelios regardless of which support it is.
Exactly, and there's always that chance, of course, if we're talking about flex picks, that we send Shen down into the bot lane as well. So that two versus two lane may have been picked up already for AOE God Squad if that's what they're going to go for. But second round of bans on in, and as you would expect when you have an ADC and the enemy don't, trying to take away a few more of those high priority picks, such as the Kaiser, such as the Jin, it looks like here. Perfect examples of ADCs just to get rid of off the table.
Yeah, absolutely. And it is going to be Omega with their last ban here on the blue side, awaiting the fourth pick from AOE God Squad over on the red. They still have yet to lock in, likely a jungler and a support over for that team. No real flex picks really left on the red side, unless you think that the Shen might be going down into support. Meanwhile, we're pretty sure that it is going to be Gangplank top and Olaf jungle for Omega, but that Galio going to still be a flex pick and still waiting to see what adjustment is going to be taken down in that bot lane.
Exactly, has had the pool pinched a little bit here with obviously those ADC bans and Aphelios being picked away as well. Really important side note here that Samalcrum on the GP in the top lane looks very dangerous just in his own right, a very comfort pick for him. So having that power pick on the top lane, really not too worried about the Shen matchup either. But Pantheon gets locked in, another high priority pick here. AoE God Squad just getting pretty much everything that they want right now. Akali, Aphelios, and Pantheon. Some would consider the best in all of their roles, and Pantheon as well, one of those flex picks that have a definite potential to roam around the map.
Yeah, if this were last season, we'd be real confident that it was going to be a Pantheon support. But in season 11, really feeling like it might be Pantheon jungle coming through from the side of Drunken Blind on that AoE God Squad team. Meanwhile, though, we've seen Seraphine locked in for Omega Gaming Unleashed, and therefore we're still not going to be 100% sure which
Ooh.
one's mid and which one's support. I would expect to see the Seraphine over in the mid lane, though.
Oh, okay. With that locked in, the Seraphine. Yeah, we still don't know which way around this matchup's going to go. We've got obviously Galio Seraphine being able to flex between jungle and support, or mid lane rather, and support here. And with Misfortune locked in, we're fairly confident that that is going to be the ADC. But there's always a possibility that you see where Galio goes, and there's a potential for a nice 2 versus 2 bot lane down there. I mean, bullet time synergizing really well with both Galio and Seraphine. There's not too much issue putting either one of them down in the bot lane, but for AoE here, they've got themselves a beautiful bot lane. Aphelios Lulu is a duo as old as Aphelios himself, so should definitely be keeping our eyes on that one, and it kind of confirms that Pantheon goes into the jungle as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would be expecting to see that Seraphine in the mid lane, given what we've seen locked in, has a lot more potential to bully away that Akali, has a lot of powerful wave clear once she's able to get onto an item. And Galio has good synergy with the MF and isn't exactly, going to have the dominant lane against Akali that something like a Seraphine's going to be able to produce.
No, exactly. And I know that Princeton in the mid lane has definitely been pumping out a few Seraphine games that are definitely worthwhile to mention. That this Seraphine, I also don't want to spoil too much, but there's a potential for a few flex picks in that Seraphine that extend beyond the mid and support role, is all that we will say for now. But, waiting to get ourselves loaded up into the in game draft right here, I'm still very impressed by AoE's draft that they've been able to pick up here. All of these priority picks, as well as this insane bot lane of Aphelios Lulu, like they've got everything going for them in the draft right here. And not to say that Unleashed draft isn't good, because all of the champions that they've got definitely fit their play style. But you can just see that priority picks over and over again might actually come out on top and might end up just being the things that carry AoE to a victory here in game number one.
Yeah, the Shen feels a little spicy coming out in season 11. Not considered really one of those A tier top laners that everyone's looking to lock in immediately, like the Ornn or the Camille, but certainly going to be always relevant with that Stand United ultimate, providing all that global pressure, especially with something like the Pantheon, who's going to have his own semi global ultimate and could carry that Shen around to wherever he wants to go.
Exactly, and that's definitely going to be the name of the game, really, for AoE. With the Pantheon as well that we've talked about, their global potential, their 5-man bot lane potential is definitely there. Getting priority in the mid lane, maybe not going to be so easy, be it Seraphine, be it Galio. Getting priority over an Akali shouldn't be too difficult because they've got fairly decent wave clear inbuilt in their kits, and setting up for that potential 5-man bot lane isn't going to be super straightforward. But we always have to factor in the teleports to summon a spell. Just leaving and sacrificing a wave as well for the greater good of 2 kills can definitely happen. So lots of things to keep our eyes on as we do start progressing toward the game.
Yeah, definitely going to be watching out for that. Reminder to everybody, this is going to be a best of two tonight. So we are going to get this matchup between Omega Gaming Unleashed and AOE God Squad, and then we are going to have them flipping sides and playing another game before we move on to our next series of the night. But got to get this game out of the way first. So going to be watching out for, especially in that top lane, the Gangplank versus Shen matchup, a pretty classic one that we've seen for quite a few years now. How exactly do you feel about those two champions heading up against each other, Rude?
I remember back in the good old days when this was pre-reworked Shen. Shen was actually considered to be at least a fairly decent answer to the Gangplank. I feel like nowadays with the reworked kit and the Q, Shen definitely hasn't lost his dueling power and can definitely go toe to toe with a Gangplank if he lands that taunt. Just becomes really difficult with the orange to really keep them in play. And the main thing with Shen, as always, is passing that Spirit Blade through your opponent. If you're able to do that, then you 99% of times are going to be able to win the trade. However, Gangplank, with those barrels, with the mobility that the movement speed provides him from not only the barrels but the passive as well, should really always be able to kite the Shen out and keep him at arm's distance and really make it difficult for that Spirit Blade to pass through, and then also as we get later into the game, just critting him down. Yes, the Spirit's Refuge will be nice, but it might not necessarily be the most important thing.
Yeah, certainly. And gonna want to be keeping an eye on both of these junglers in this game, as these are going to be some serious snowball potential
Hmm.
junglers coming out from both teams. We got the Pantheon coming through from the side of AoE God Squad and the Olaf coming through from Omega Gaming Unleashed. If either of these champions are able to pick up an early kill, they're going to be able to just get such a huge advantage for themselves, and they're just going to try to chain that into kill after kill after kill and just try to focus down the game that way.
Exactly. Both of these junglers are just renowned for their early game dominance, and as I mentioned, typically do tend to fall off of that cliff later on in as we get into the game. But Olaf, particularly this season, I've realized have been just so dominant, even throughout the late game. Looking at LCS last week, just a couple of times where I believe it was closer on 100 Thieves just absolutely slaughtering a few enemies in like late game. Olaf just slamming through with that Gore Drinker, and especially with the buffs that Seraphine and Galio can help you out with, there's plenty of things to help buff up this Olaf in the late game where he might necessarily have lacked in the previous seasons. And the exact same goes for Pantheon, right? Pantheon using his ulti to jump on in normally just wants to get a one shot off onto somebody and then die. But with Shen, with Lulu, there's so much safety, so much protection in both of these squads that these backline access champions are going to be aided by their team so nicely.
Yeah, that's the thing with Olaf. It's really only been, the item changes that have affected him too much. There haven't been a lot of strict numbers changes going towards Olaf specifically, but I'll tell you, Rudude, I watch a lot of League of Legends,
Hmm.
watch a lot of different regions, and still, Olaf manages to surprise me almost every game this season. I almost always feel like, oh, well, he's definitely dead here, and then he just turns around and kills three people, and I'm just like, I guess not. I guess he's Olaf, and that's just what he does now. It just feels like such a busted champion.
There's a reason that this was the first pick out for Omega Gaming Unleashed, not only in this game, but in this brand new season as well. That Olaf, some things just aren't going to change for a while, and hopefully there will be a meta where Olaf just isn't the most dominant force on the Rift. But I remember going back even to the beginning of Season 10 last year, Olaf was the same sort of pick priority, same sort of presence that we're seeing already. Did start to tend off as we got a bit of a rise of tank junglers and what have you, but definitely expecting to see that Olaf perform admirably, at least in game number one.
Yeah, and there still are a few more seconds left where the teams are allowed to switch around their champions. But Rudude, I've noticed that it is looking like it's Princeton on the Galio and the sub on Seraphine. So it might not actually be those lane assignments we originally expected. It might be the Galio going mid, trying to bring that global pressure around the map, and Seraphine looking to be a bit harder of a poke enchanter, a support champion down in the bot lane.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see to make sure that that's fully confirmed in, but I don't mind the lane assignments either way, right? Galio as well counters Akali fairly easily because Akali comes out of her shroud as soon as if she has to auto attack people, and what does Galio do with his taunt? He makes them auto attack you. So popping that W and popping Galio into the mid lane to counter the Akali definitely sits well with me. Also, Seraphine in the bot lane should be trying to put out some early game dominance onto the Aphelios Lulu, typically a bot lane which tends toward needing some scaling, tends toward being a bit more of a late game hyper carry situation as opposed to that early game laning force. And with Miss Fortune as well, that is just exemplified in a 2v2.
Yeah, and the Pantheon specifically going to be looking to be addressed by this Galio mid lane. As long as you have your Galio in that center point of the map and he can wander into either river to try to address the side lanes, it reduces the risk of Pantheon going for the Grand Skyfall into a side lane and suddenly turning something into a 2v1 or a 3v2. Because you can join with your Galio, you can use that heroic entrance, and you can even the odds really quickly.
Exactly, and with GP ult as well, with that cannon barrage from that global presence, it's just so much added on top of all of the Galio priority, and we can quite easily expect a full 5 versus 5 from both teams as soon as they reach level 6. Both of these teams very ultimate reliant, Galio and Gangplank in particular, as well as that Shen Pantheon duo, going to be the exact same situation over on the other side. And I've always said this, and I'm going to start trying to make more of a point of it. The bot lane is the frat house of League of Legends. Whenever you go down, it's always the boys coming to bot lane to party, and it's going to happen once again right here. But even before these guys reach level 6, I'm expecting everybody to be down in bot lane, piling on and trying to find some kills.
Yeah, and it really feels like both teams have a lot of opportunities to just go aggressively all in, running at the other. Neither team really looking to play too far back here. There's some capabilities on the side of Omega to kind of play back, set down some barrels, and wait for the other team to come into you. But between the Galio and the Seraphine engage on Omega and the Pantheon, Akali, Shen trio that are just going to be diving in over on the side of AoE, it really feels like both these teams are just going to be running at each other.
Yeah, just headfirst into one another, and you can already imagine the difficulties that both Aphelios and Misfortune are going to discover as the game gets later and later. But Immobile ADCs up against such heavy dive just adds to the positioning woes of the AD carries, and really we'll see who shines out in this bot lane matchup.
Yeah, let's see how 80 carry in 2021 looks. We're going to get loaded up into the game here. And for that, we're going to take a quick break and make sure everything is all synced up. But do not go anywhere. We'll be right back bringing you game one of Omega Gaming Unleashed versus AOE God Squad. Welcome back, everybody. We are all into the game for Omega Gaming Unleashed versus AOE God Squad Game 1. We've got a great best of two for you guys here tonight in the XLNC Mid League, and it all starts right here. My name is Gordo, and I'm joined once again by Rudude. As Rudude, we're going to see the side of AOE God Squad looking for an invade here.
Yeah, they are, and the sub gives them a quick little thumbs up right there, spots them out, gives them a little bit of harass for good measure. And then they go on their way right here. Fallen Artemis now looking to reciprocate with an invade, and Beastlance might have to burn a flash right here, but okay, just a little bit of a tap with the axe. Not going to chase
Yeah.
too far, recognizing the rest of the team coming through.
Yeah, Fallen Artemis, he doesn't want to take things a little bit too quickly here. He knows he's got a whole night of games ahead of him. He just wants to throw, a single axe, not going to go a little bit too far, doesn't want to bite off more than he can chew. So just going to be getting a little bit of a chunk down onto Beast Lance. And you know what? If he's not getting a recall off, that's an advantage, baby.
It is. Every little helps down in the bot lane, and with Lulu, no innate sustain necessarily, so it is all shields and not so much heals, which is going to be really important. We have to remember, of course, that Beastlance does have the pistol. That red weapon is going to help him out, get that health back in his inventory, I suppose, back in the health bar as soon as he gets on going. And Fallen Artemis here, starting on the red buff. Looks like Drunken Blind going to start up on their red buff as well. So a bit of a vertical jungling situation potentially going to start up. Also, worth noting that they actually had perfect information for both squads right here. You can see two wards on the red buff and a sort of try-ward situation from AoE, because they had one on both of Unleashed's buffs, and then also one on their own red buff where they actually started.
Yeah, going to see some aggression coming out of the side of AoE's bot lane right away. They're going to be shoving up this wave early on, so might make it a little bit difficult for that vertical jungling you talked about to occur. And also, Drunken Blind, not going to go for his golems, not going to go for his birds. He's going to go straight over into his own blue side jungle. He's going to try to go buff to wolves to buff here.
Yeah, very early level 3 then, maybe suggesting a bit of a gank route coming through. Normally, if you want to find a full clear, then obviously that accelerates you to that fast level 4. This time round, though, looks like he's going for a fast level 3 and a potential gank route on the way. Could also just do a bot lane crowd recall and then look for his top camps. We'll have to wait and see how he plays it out, because bot lane doesn't particularly look gankable right now. Down on the mid lane as well, there's a chance that you find the Galio, but with Justice Punch, with Taunt, it's never going to be easy. And then you can look at Drunken Blind's HP bar right there. He's looking a little bit worse for wear as well.
Yeah, that little mini rework they gave to Pantheon to move him out of the support role, where they moved around the damage numbers on his Q, just gave him such powerful early burst, and he is going to be sneaking down into the bot lane here, maybe going for an alcove play to try to pick up first blood onto Omega's bot lane.
Yeah, the bot lane play I mentioned, not necessarily too easy, but if you go through the lane, then there's definitely a route in, and we might have to wait and see if that does come through. But Princeton in the mid lane taking the rough end of this trade, just trying to hold the wave really more so than anything else, as Beastlance goes in with the Graviton.
They're just going aggressive onto the sub themselves here, and now Drunken Blind has shown himself. He got spotted out by that blue caster minion there. The sub almost gets soloed out without Pantheon's help, but the summoner heal going to keep him alive there. They are down 3 summoner spells in the bot lane on the side of Omega Gaming Unleashed, though. However, it is going to be a flash blown from Jabber, a heal blown from Beastlance, and a flash from Drunken Blind in exchange. So overall, a pretty close trade.
Yeah, I mean, 3 for 3 and 2 flashes. You definitely put that one, at least in a game sense, in the favour of Unleashed right there. But we have to remember the no flash down on the bot lane means that if they're able to re-abuse this bot side of the map, then potential to get sub killed once more gets a little bit of an advantage toward AoE as they move further and further through this game. But you can see, having shown down on the bot side, and Fallen Artemis going to have acknowledged how many camps the Pantheon has done, he does roam into the top side, gets away those raptors, and might look for a little bit more. Does get the sweeping lens, and he's going to know that he's spotted, but Drunken Blind's still not finished down on this bot lane here, and Adjustment and the sub haven't quite yet put a ward into that tri-brush.
Yeah, he really feels like he needs to make something happen here, because the real winner of that play was
No.
Fallen Artemis. But oh my goodness, that is just going to be first blood bursted out onto Beastlance from the side of Adjustment and the sub. Excellently played by those two there. And now Adjustment going to flash forward. He knows that no flash is available from Drunken Blind, but no more follow-up. A little bit of a waste there, but certainly going to take that first blood for themselves in the 2v2. And meanwhile, Fallen Artemis just still farming it up in his opponent's jungle.
Yeah, this is actually really bad for Drunken Blind, as if it wasn't bad enough that he burned his flash and didn't find a kill for it. This entire time, Fallen Artemis has just been power farming. The Olaf going to be able to accelerate himself to a really quick level 6. Will be able to go back and now revisit his bot side camps where he's got Gromp, or Krugs, and Raptors waiting, all going to be leveled up as well. Not those level 1 camps that the Pantheon would have liked to be getting himself. Gonna have to wait and see if we opt into that early dragon as well. Olaf renowned for that. Normally going pickaxe and doing Drake is the play, but having the full Iron Spike whip means that Drake is going to fall even easier, and he has a little bit of an active now as well.
Yeah, definitely going to be a big power spike over onto that Olaf. And, you know, the Pantheon, it relies so much on using that flash to make early game plays happen, just to get in range of the W and guarantee your team a kill, that when you use it and you don't get a kill, it really feels like you just need to make something happen off of it. So feeling that way, Drunken Blind goes back into the bot lane, trying to make a play happen, but it results in Beast Lance just going up a bit too far and ending up taken down for it.
Yeah, the flash aggression with the Graviton was pretty much the only way they were going to set that play up, and unfortunately just a little bit mistimed. They weren't able to properly layer the CC. But I just want you to point out how bad this really is for the Pantheon. He spent the last 40 seconds recalling, walking to his top side, recognizing he has no camps, now walking to his bot side where he's going to get wolves, and then nothing else because his Gromp has already been taken on his previous reset.
Sharp Circle taken down incredibly low here by the Galio. He throws down the stealth, but he's actually standing in the middle, so he's not invisible. And that's going to be the ultimate. Simulacrum going to pick up the kill from across the map. Excellently played by those two there, and that's going to be a second kill going to the side of Omega Gaming Unleashed.
Yeah, they net themselves another kill. This time it's going to be some individual play from Princeton and then the support from Simulacrum that nets them that one. And that's going to be really good for Omega Gaming Unleashed, in case that wasn't obvious enough. The GP, who was quite happy farming up against the Shen, has himself a little bit of a CS lead. Going to recall, get himself a tier and an extra health crystal, which he wouldn't have got without those extra gold income from the kill. And you can see already, just look at the pressure that Omega Gaming Unleashed have from this play. The fact that their bot lane were able to survive the pressure and able to get themselves such a great advantage. Nets Fallen Artemis the ability to roam into the jungle, and now in the mid lane as well. Princeton going to take a fight.
Sharp Circle going for an all-in here, uses the ultimate, gets told under turret though, and feels the need to ultimate away. And now there's a teleport coming from Simulacrum. He's looking to double dip here in this mid lane, but there's also an ultimate from Flaming Thunder coming in. He goes through, he gets a big taunt through onto Simulacrum, but Fallen Artemis just going to throw the axe on through and pick up Sharp Circle with it. Now 3-0 for the side of Omega Gaming Unleashed, just dominating Sharp Circle in this mid lane. He now has no access to the flash and is 0-2 in this lane.
No ulti either. This is going to be really difficult for the Akali, looking to go for that Rift Maker, so a little bit of sustain in the build, but you could just see Fallen Artemis right there. Did not care that the Shen was in his way, just walked up, flashed forward, got that axe, and it connected beautifully. Now looking for the blue buff, smites it away. Drunken Blind going to be very sad to see that one go.
Yeah, Drunken Blind shows up just in time to see his beloved blue buff stolen away from him, and all he can do is take a pink ward as a consolation prize. Simulacrum, though, might find himself a little bit caught out here. He's going to eat oranges and get right out of that taunt. Flaming Thunder keeping ahead of him, going to blow up the blast cone, but not actually hit Simulacrum with it. So Simulacrum's just going to walk on out of there.
Yeah, needs to importantly get back up to that top lane. As you can see on the minimap, there are so many minions dying to the turret right now, and Simulacrum needs to be there to pick them up. You can see there's a little bit of a level lead in the top lane in favour of AOE. But, you know, Simulacrum going to go back up there, picks himself up a large portion of CS, picks himself up a large amount of XP. That gap has now been levelled, and everybody should be okay to continue about their business. Mid lane, though, you can see, whilst Princeton playing this Galio hasn't found any kills, on bullet time in the bot side, going to put down some very decent poke damage and sub. It's level 6.
Going up really far here. He knows that Drunken Blind is coming in with the Grand Starfall here, and that is likely going to pick up the sub. He finds himself in a 1v5 as that frat house comes through in the bot lane. Everybody on the side of the AOE God Squad coming down there to pick up the sub. It's just going to be one kill. No dragon available, though, so they're just going to have to kind of walk back on up to their lanes.
Oh, but Adjustment needs support right here. Fallen Artemis is nearby, but Drunken Blind in and around. I don't think he's going to be able to get there in time. Fighting mid, fighting bot as well.
Yeah, they might be a little bit doomed here. Princeton feels the need to get on out of here. Adjustment gets picked up on the other side, and Princeton's going to be picked up as well. And just like that, 3 kills traded back here. The Wild Growth going to come through onto Drunken Blind to stop Fallen Artemis from picking up a return kill. And just like that, AOE God Squad might find themselves a little bit back into the game. They send 5 members down to the bot lane, and Omega Gaming just don't have a good response.
Yeah, that second use of the Pantheon Flash actually being able to net themselves a few kills right there. And you know, the invites got sent out, Unleashed got lost in the post, and AOE God Squad sending 5 members down to the bot lane. They use 3 more to re-dive onto Adjustment, and then another 2 to go back and try and fight out with Princeton. Jabba now going to be taking some sustained fight with Sub, but supportal combat this early on really doesn't mean all that much. Important to mention though, you know, we see these 3-for-3 kills. We should look at the gold lead though. Still 2,000 in favour of Omega Gaming Unleashed, and if we toggle the gold real quick, you can see that the majority of that coming from that top lane where Samalcrim has an 1,000 gold lead just off of farming using GP passive and that couple kills that he was able to pick up with the ulti and the TP. You can just see that with all that time that Flaming Thunder also spent down bot lane farming up a storm, Samalcrim is quite far ahead on this Shen. Oh,
So Malcolm's got those doubloons. He's just farming it up in the top lane. He's getting his silver serpents, and he's pretty happy with it as he's getting all of that bonus gold for himself, building a significant lead over Rising Thunder, and likely going to be challenging him in these fights soon. He's got the armor boots already, picked up those plated steel caps to try to survive these fights with Gangplank, but those aren't going to make the difference forever.
No, they aren't, and the more that GP farms, the more gold he obviously gets, and he's going to accelerate that gold lead more and more using those Qs and using that extra parlay passive as Sub. Yoinkying a couple of the minions down there, but Beastland's going to take a nice double up from Misfortune for good measure. Once GP does pick up that finished Mythic though, we'll definitely be able to start fighting out with Shen taking such a big detour into tier 2 boots and GP not doing the same and going the same route. You can already tell that he's going to pick up that Mythic much faster than the Shen will.
And Dragon number 2 looks like it's just going to get given over here to the side of Omega. That is the benefit of having Olaf on your team, is the first 2 dragons are basically guaranteed to you as long as you play out the game correctly. He just does them so efficiently and is so powerful in those first few levels. So they're going to be trying to trade for the Rift Herald up in the top lane, but Omega might smell that something's going on. Fallen Artemis is making his way towards the top side of the map.
Yeah, you can see that he's got 2 camps up on the bot side, but just doesn't care about them. He's going to head down or up toward that Rift Herald and might try and steal it away. He does.
Oh, he steals it away, and now he's going to look to pick up a kill on the Drunken Blind. He's got the ultimate from Gangplank to back him up. He's got the ultimate from Princeton as well, and now they're just going to be chasing down on a Rising Thunder. Drunken Blind's already been taken down, and Shen has got nowhere to go. He's just going to get hit with axe after axe now. They're going to try to dive in here. The flash is not going to be enough, and Smalcrim's going to pick up that kill. The Encore comes down in the bot lane from Sub, not going to hit anybody, so no violence down there, but in the top lane, that's a very favorable play for the side of Omega, a disaster for the side of AOE God Squad.
Yeah, you can see the power of this Olaf. You talked about the neutral objective priority that he has, and Princeton in the mid lane TP's in. Doesn't find anything there, as the Akali likely going to recall off of that, but you talked about those neutral objectives from the Olaf, and it doesn't stop at the Dragon. Does extend his way up to that Rift Herald, and unfortunately Pantheon 2 levels now behind the Olaf doesn't do the Rift Herald fast enough, and does get taken down. And that Shen as well, you have to flash the first axe, even up against, you know, GP, Gangplank and Olaf. If you don't dodge the first axe, even as you are the Shen, you are going to get taken down. The rundown chase potential of these 3, just too big.
And look at Bankplank up in the top lane. He's been getting that extra gold off of his Qs. He's going to pick up the first turret. He's 2-0-2 with 80% kill participation, and he's got almost a 3k gold lead for himself over Flaming Thunder. That is huge.
It's massive. You know, the gold lead was 2,000 at one point. We just checked in. It's now skyrocketed up to 5k, seemingly off of that Drake and Rift Herald play. They're going to use the Rift Herald bot lane to try and break out adjustment on this Misfortune and open him up around the map. But here comes the Infernal Multi.
Oh, the response teleport coming through from the side of Samalcrim. He's going to come through to back up his team and try to guarantee that they're able to pick up this turret. Gangplank wants more gold, and he's willing to do what it takes to get it. He comes down with the teleport. He's going to force off the opposing team, and they're going to pick up a second turret here. Very good for the side of Omega. Well played on the macro level, just wasting the time of 3 members of AOE God Squad while they just managed to take another turret for themselves and extend their lead.
Yeah, and now it just becomes fairly jovial what Omega Gaming Unleashed are trying to accomplish here with so much priority across pretty much every single lane. If you look across, there's level leads are mounting pretty much everywhere right now. Yes, that top lane gap is limited at the gold, but mid lane there's a level lead. Bot lane as well, fairly close, but you can just tell that Omega Gaming Unleashed should be able to roam around and do pretty much as they please for the next 5 or 10 minutes. It is important to note that we are expecting AoE to outscale. This Aphelios Lulu is an incredibly strong late game duo, and Omega Gaming Unleashed can't become complacent. We still need to see them close out this game, but they've got all of the tools to do so.
Yeah, they certainly do. The real way for AOE God Squad to get back in this game is to find a way to get a bunch of gold onto Beast Lance and rely on the Aphelios hyper carry. He is likely going to be a better scaling threat than the Misfortune. He's going to be able to get some good AOE damage down with his variety of weapons and the fact that he ends up building Hurricane. But they're going to need to find a way to get Beast Lance to that point. And as of now, most of the fights in the bot lane have been going towards the side of Omega Gaming Unleashed.
Yeah, sparing that little dive that they had after the 5-man bot lane, it's really all been coming up Unleashed so far down on that bot side. I want to just, quickly point out that we've got adjustment going here for the Gale Force build on Misfortune, and with the press the attack as well, does scale slightly better into the late game as a Misfortune. Of course, not going to be able to match the Aphelios by any means, but MF usually known for being an ult bot, with this build tending toward more critical strike, more lethality with the auto attacks, not lethality the stat itself.
Yeah, these are not going to be the Black Cleaver AoE ultimate bot Misfortunes of yesteryear. That Misfortune these days does go for more standard 80 carry affair and plays more like a standard 80 carry, using that love tap to just guarantee that she's going to be able to get bonus damage on all of her auto attacks, rather than, just focusing on bullet time.
Yeah, and the adjustment does need to be careful, and you can see him paying the necessary respect to the Akali. As a level 11 Akali, regardless of who you are, definitely going to be a formidable foe when you are 2 levels down and an ADC right there. And with the completed Riftmaker, we start seeing Mythics coming across the AoE lineup now. Got that Riftmaker, the Eclipse as well on Pantheon, and Aphelios has got that Kraken Slayer. This entire time, Beast Lance has been farming pretty evenly with Misfortune and is even ahead half a wave or so. But on this top side now, Flaming Thunder and Simalcrum just throwing a lot of auto attacks at one another. We have got Drake spawning and globals available for the Shen and not necessarily for the GP.
Yeah, AoE have decided that this is where they're going to make their stand. They get a big engage with the Akali, and they burst out the sub right away. Plus, they have the Shen ultimate coming in soon, so it is going to be a 4v5, but Sharp Circle going to end up taunted up and taken down. Now it's up to Full and Artemis and Adjustment to try to carry this fight, and Adjustment is completely untouched. He's getting auto after auto onto the rest of the enemy team. Gonna flash over the wall with Fall, is going to pick up another kill, and just like that, a 4v5 fight goes in the favor of Omega Gaming Unleashed. So Malcolm just farming up in the top lane. He doesn't care.
Yeah, he didn't have TP, but the Cannon Barrage was doing work, and Adjustment the entire time untouched. Used the Gale Force to buy the necessary space to distance him between himself and the Shen, but after that, it was just free real estate for Adjustment. Hitting left, right, and center. That love tap coming on through was beautiful. Able to constantly reapply the passive, and flashing over the wall to try and find the extra kill was a bit unnecessary. We did see that axe from Fallen Artemis from downtown once again goes for that quick kill, but you can see Drake picked up, mid lane tier 1 picked up as well. So Malcolm not quite able to finish off the top lane tier 2, but they are set up perfectly to close out the rest of this game.
Yeah, that's going to balloon the gold lead to almost 9k there, and now it really feels like it's almost over here, as the rest of Omega Gaming Unleashed going to see even more gold spread across all of their members. They're going to be prepping up for this Rift Herald, and they're on Soul Point now, Dude. They have a great opportunity here to just close out this game pretty cleanly, and there doesn't seem to be too much that the AOE God Squad can do about it.
No, they need to play stalling as best that they can right now. Need to wait for Akali, Shen, Aphelios to really scale up and really become that threat. Shen now has completed the mythic item, and Akali's got herself some Mercury Tread, so surviving the CC chain off Galio, off Seraphine, a little bit easier now, but it's still a long way off. You can see a couple of items being picked up for Omega Gaming Unleashed, and most importantly, Simalcrum has completed that Ravenous Hydra already, even working towards his third item, whatever that longsword is going to turn into. You can see that this GP is just far and away ahead of the Shen.
Yeah, he is by pretty much any metric you can imagine at this point. He's sitting on that Divine Sunder, Ravenous Hydra, to only the measly Sunfire Aegis of Flaming Thunder, and really feeling like he is the bully in that lane.
Might only be, a 9,000 gold lead or so for Omega Gaming Unleashed, which is very sizable in its own right, but half of that is sat on Simalcrum and the difference in the top lane. So we can definitely expect to see this GP really be a force if we do get those late game team fights, and I don't even know if they're going to get to that point. You can see that Unleashed not really too bothered by the Akali down bot lane, just sending Simalcrum into the mid lane as well. Really wanted to just push the put the pedal to the metal in the mid lane and just use this Herald to their full advantage.
And that pedal hits the floor just like that as they are going to be dropping down that Rift Herald. They got 4 members wailing away at this turret. They've got the Galio ultimate that they're threatening here, along with their Olaf, who's going to be able to just charge on through everybody with the Ragnarok. And it just forces AOE God Squad to sit back and watch it all happen. Sharp Circle is split pushing down in the bottom lane here, but this is just the bot lane outer turret. They're 4-0 in turrets, about to be 5-0 in turrets, and there's very little they can do. They're just watching all their turrets just crumble in front of them.
Yeah, and I don't mind this from Sharp Circle. They're recognizing that even in a 5 versus 5, the Akali really not going to be all that useful to try and halt the siege. So getting them some gold on the side lane whilst he can, getting a little bit of collective gold for the team as well. Not necessarily the worst thing in the world, but it always sucks when you see your turrets falling. Even at the charge of a Herald, there was really nothing they could do. So Sharp Circle making the best of a bad situation, but they're still losing out across the map.
Yeah, they certainly are. And now we're going to turn our attention likely towards this dragon here. About 2 more minutes until Soul Point is going to be spawning up for Omega Gaming Unleashed. And you got to believe that that's where the AOE God Squad are going to choose to make their stand. They can't have any hope of winning this game if they give away Mountain Soul to the opposing team. So they're just going to take that fight there. They're going to try to find their angle, and that's going to be their best chance to get back in this game.
Yeah, at the minute we're teetering on the edge of the cliff right now. We're sort of sat on the edge where if this next team fight goes the way of Omega Gaming Unleashed, then it's completely off the cliff and we're just expecting there to be no chance back. But here comes the engage. Sharp Circle with Shen.
Yeah, Sharp Circle and Flaming Thunder think they have an opportunity to get a big shutdown here onto the opposing gangplank, but it's met with a teleport from Princeton, and just like that, they have to back away. But the Cannon Barrage is going to be slowing them down, and just like that, they're getting turned around on. They're going to get taunted up here by the side of Princeton. Princeton's going to land that Justice Punch, and Flaming Thunder is going to be picked up here by Samalcrum. A disaster for the side of the AOE God Squad as they lose their top laner, feed another kill over to the gangplank, and just like that, a huge advantage on the map for Omega Gaming Unleashed.
And I really like the play, but they're not respecting the cooldowns that Unleashed have open to them. We talked about this time and time again that the globals are pretty much matched for both of these squads. Look at that, look at the engage.
Oh, the lands on a Sharp Circle, and it's going to get followed up with by the bullet time. Not going to be able to keep anybody in it for too long, though, so not going to get the wombo combo they might have hoped for, but it's going to force people away from the turret, and it's going to open up this blue jungle for a complete sweeping of vision and a laying down of their own vision. So they're going to be all set for when this dragon gets up in 25 seconds, and it's pretty much all over but the screaming for the side of AOE God Squad, as they have no pathway towards this dragon.
No, they are going to be spotted out whichever way they go, and Pantheon in the base right now still has the ultimate available, so there's a chance that we see that ult steal come through, but with Fallen Artemis, level 12, 2 levels up, has the true damage in the E as well. There's just really so much going against AoE that there's very little opportunity for them to make their way back to this soul.
Yeah, 50-50 Starfall incoming, you gotta believe. They can't afford to give up this dragon, but it's dying too quickly, and it's too late. It's already been taken down. That's gonna be Mountain Soul going over to the side of Omega Gaming Unleashed. They are going to have those shields for the rest of the game, and just like that, it is even harder for the double assassin team comp of AOE God Squad to ever find an opportunity to burst out its heart.
Exactly, it's going to be increasingly challenging for Sharp Circle, for Drunken Blind to find any effectiveness this game, as if Princeton's positioning hasn't been good enough with those taunts to keep his backline safe. Adjustment now has this nice mountain shield in his favour as well. Seraphine has that Moonstone Renewer as well, so more heals coming through, helping out the squad where they need to be, and with Baron on the table now, Mountain Soul at their backs, it's just a matter of time before we see Unleashed take this try and objective.
Yeah, just going to be a little bit of a grouping around here. The sub maybe up a little far here. He's going to get jumped onto by Sharp Circle, but they can't even get through the Mountain Soul shield, Rudude. He has no opportunity to even kill the support. He gets 2 Qs off and an auto attack, and it's nothing to the sub.
Yeah, a little bit of a W as well from the sub, but you're quite right that the damage from the Akali, it's just not there right now. It's incredibly lacking, and looking toward, I believe, that Demonic Embrace. With those items, you might just get catch on the Lulu.
And that's going to be a big root on the Jabber, and it's going to be easy to pick up for Adjustment. He goes in with the Gale Force to get that execute damage, and that's all he needs to pick up a kill onto the opposing team's support. Not even going to waste the Exhaust or the Wild Growth, because he knows he was doomed from the start.
Yeah, and I don't think that they've spotted out this ward right here. We'll have to wait and see, but there's the second control ward finally going to pick up the fact that there is this ward in there. Princeton now playing linebacker, I suppose, just sat waiting. Is my American football right there? Have I done the right word?
I suppose so. In a lot of ways, he is going to be just a big, beefy
Yeah.
dude standing there ready to tackle some people. So I'm willing to say that you're right. And just like that, they're going to be moving on to the Baron here. The pink ward's going to grant them a little bit of vision. So maybe here's where the Starfall comes through. But once again, no, just too late.
Oh.
The Baron's already been taken down, and now Drunken Blind finds himself, just as his name implies, 1 versus 3 in the Baron pit, getting taken down.
Exactly as his name implies right there. The decision making, albeit well intended, just not able to be executed here. The time it takes for the Pantheon to get into the pit alone was enough for Unleashed to finish off that Baron. They're now going to look to put some finishing touches onto the base right now. Still got to break it open, of course, but Malcolm top lane, the remaining 4-man squad in the mid lane as well. These Nexus or these inhibitor turrets, not long for the world at all.
Yeah, that is going to just be the side of Omega Gaming Unleashed marching on through the base. They get the first inhibitor. They're going to move right on to the second here. And this is going to be the last stand for the AOE God Squad here. They've got their members back alive. They've got a couple of abilities, and they're going to have to scrape together what they can to defend the base. But actually, Omega Gaming Unleashed, willing to give them a little more time. They're going to back away. They're going to spend their gold, and they're going to come back and do this last fight right.
Yeah, exactly. They've got a lot of gold in their inventories from the Baron, from the couple of kills that they were able to get, and all of those turrets they've just picked up. I expect them to go bot lane as well once they've reset, to get themselves all of their gold spent, go down there and try and tackle that final bot lane inhibitor. Very easy macro gameplay, and when you're so far ahead right here with, what is that, a 14,000 gold lead at 25 minutes, they have the rift all to themselves. It's really not too difficult to try and play out the rest of this game, and they're just probably going to do whatever they please.
Yeah, it's very little to stop them at this point. You know, they would need all 5 members to really collapse onto any of these targets to be able to really hope to get a kill. And the side of Omega Gaming Unleashed, they just aren't going to split up like that. They're going to stay together because they know that they just have so much more gold and resources than the opposing team that they don't need to risk plays like that.
Just to put it into comparison here, Samalcrum, the most fed member on Omega Gaming Unleashed, without him in a fight, Unleashed still have more gold as a 4-man than the rest of AoE as a 5-man. Their lead is so massive right now that surmounting it is going to be the biggest challenge that I think we will expect to see on tonight's broadcast. So if they're able to do it, then AoE, hey, props to you, you've impressed me, but I think that the lead is just far too much.
Yeah, it's one of those games where a comeback here is probably going to change how I think about League of Legends if it happens, but unlikely to be so tonight, as Samalcrum just going to be getting the split push down in this top lane, going to be making sure that the Baron buffed minions are coming through in all 3 lanes. Got Princeton in the top here, and now Drunken Blind just going to be forced backward. He throws up the Aegis to keep himself safe, but he's not stopping anybody from taking down his inhibitor. That's going to be the 3rd inhibitor falling down, and just like that, they're going to move on into the base here. This is the last chance for a fight. It's going to be a flash taunt coming through from Fallen Thunder. He's going to come through and get ultied on top of by the Lulu, but he's just getting melted down through by this bullet time from the side of the Misfortune Adjustment. Going to pick up a double kill here, and Sharp Circle is just going to have to flash and dash away to try to keep himself alive, but he's leaving his Nexus unexposed on the other side. It's going to be the only 2 members left to defend it. They're forced back into the fountain, and just like that, Omega Gaming Unleashed going to look for the Nexus here. Well played by them, 15-4, a 12k gold lead, and an easy win in game 1 of the season.
Starting out strong there, Omega Gaming Unleashed, and I mean, they couldn't have asked for much better to begin with, losing just the 4 deaths overall, and really not too much else right there. They did lose 1 bot lane turret as well, not to forget, but you have to remember that there's just the amount of lead they're able to get, how flawlessly they executed that game as well, was just beautiful. Game number 1, of course, of a best of 2, so they're going to have an even record regardless of how this second game goes, but I look forward to seeing if they can continue on this winning path.
Yeah, it really feels like their game plan just kind of fell apart very early on the side of the AOE God Squad. They were going for the early gank from their early game jungler Pantheon, and it just didn't work out the way they wanted. The bot lane got turned around against, they got first blood onto Adjustment, and from there, it was always a major gold deficit for the side of the AOE God Squad, and it was always going to be an uphill battle to get back into the game. So they're going to want to see if they're going to revisit that strategy, and if they're going to try to adapt or move into a different game plan coming on into game 2.
Yeah, and with that, we will take a little bit of a break here, ladies and gentlemen. Don't go anywhere. Game number 2 going to be just around the corner here. So if you want to see more from myself and Gordo, more from these 2 teams, don't hesitate to stick around because we will be right back.